You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, all of you, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, and with me is my wing woman, her of positive fandom and the network. And of course, this is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we appreciate those traits that Hollywood tells you are toxic, aka traditional male virtues. So I know it's been a while since we've been here. So how have you been?
I've been great, Lorraine. It's so good to be back on Toxic Male Appreciation with you. I start to feel normal when the show is not on. I feel like something is missing, and I realize we're not out there to give all those males out there the message that we love them. We think you guys are the best, and we certainly do appreciate being able to do the show, Lorraine. Thank you all the time for having the show on. And, you know, Lorraine and I are busy. We have things to do, but we are back here, and it's such a pleasure to be back.
Oh, yes, indeed, especially considering who we are going to be talking about in this particular show. So you're probably like, Patrick Dempsey, sexiest man alive. What? Why the heck do I care about that? Well, folks, you may care about a certain film that is going to be coming out effective December 25th. And that, of course, would be the Michael Mann. I have to emphasize this. The Michael Mann film Ferrari, which is going to be starring Adam Driver, Penelope Cruz, Shailene Woodley, and of course, Patrick Dempsey is going to be in it as well. And we'll tell you a little bit more about his role, and we'll talk a little bit more about Ferrari in a bit. But just think, folks, Michael Mann, Miami Vice.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a toxic male show was Miami Vice?
Oh, God, I wanted to be on that show so bad. I wanted to be those ladies, maybe not on the beach, but running after the bad guys and in some cool looking, mini dress, undercover or something and saying freeze, and just the music and of course, my hair would be wet in the show and it would be blowing and it would just be such a fantasy. What entertainment, Lorena, what entertainment we had with Miami Vice. It still is such a strong IP where people are just enjoying it and rewatching and reruns and remixes of this. And look at how cool this poster is, Lorena. I'm already living the fantasy of Ferrari.
It is such a cool and amazing poster. Michael Mann, it's been said that his Miami Vice episodes, and he's one of the directors one of my favorites, they're like mini films in themselves with the style that they're shot. And what is a Miami Vice episode without some hot ass cars and crazy driving, which folks, that's where they got GTA from, Grand Theft Auto. I'm just so excited about this hot poster. Who hasn't heard of the term Ferrari, especially when it comes to racing? And I'm excited that Patrick Dempsey is in this film, and I'm excited for this film to be coming up in December. We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get back to it a little bit more, but first of all, I want to thank her for sending me this. Patrick Dempsey is People's Sexiest Man Alive 2023 on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The 57-year-old, I cannot believe he's 57.
I know, right? Gosh, he looks great.
He looks so good. He's got that gorgeous mature man thing going on.
He does. And, I think, after the long career that he's had, I'm sure that you and I are going to talk about in a few minutes, he certainly has earned his place, Lorena. From the 1980s, he's been in the business, and certainly a variety of different types of shows. I think he's just getting better and better with age, and his confidence and his overall cheerfulness and happiness, you can see it right here in this fabulous tuxedo he's wearing. As you said, that tuxedos and suits are the lingerie for men.
Yes.
And he certainly does make it look good. He's not coloring his hair. He's au natural. This is him. This is the real Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, and I love it. Love it. And so all here for it. I have to tell you, I was kind of surprised when I heard Patrick Dempsey was, people gave him, this particular honor. And it wasn't that, oh, he's too old. I was kind of like, how long have you overlooked this guy? I mean, that just kind of like hit me for a minute, but I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. He is dubbed as People's Sexiest Man Alive for 2023. So the people have spoken. Anatomy Dreamboat. Remember, he was McDreamy, right? And who was McSteamy?
I don't know who McSteamy was. It might have been the blonde haired guy, might have been McSteamy, but
Okay.
Patrick Dempsey, yeah, he was McDreamy. And I just thought that was such an endearing term to name your crush. You don't want to say who it is, because if you say it's John
Yeah.
Doe, then everybody will know, but you have to give him a name that is sort of this person you want to be with. And he deserved it. He was absolutely irresistible in Grey's Anatomy. And he's kind of irresistible in a lot of films he makes. So I think, he deserved the title. He added a lot of that passion. We want to see that passion on screen. We want to see that masculinity on screen. And he does, represent that.
He completely does. And granted, I did not watch Grey's Anatomy. It was not my thing. However, Grey's Anatomy, that show was written and produced by one of our favorite people, which will be Shonda Rhimes. And if there's anybody who has a amazing appreciation for men, for traditional masculinity, for showing how women are attracted to traditional masculine values, traits, I should say, it would be Shonda Rhimes. So the fact that he's gotten such notoriety for that role, there's a reason. It's just like women love him and men want to be him,
Absolutely. And Chandra, her production company, I think it's called Chandraland or something.
Shondaland, yeah.
And, she pretty much for the past 20 years plus, maybe even 30 years, has been such a staple on network television. And Lorena, of course, you and I know this, and many of the viewers know this. She's even gone beyond network television. She's conquered streaming television with Bridgerton, right, Lorena?
Yes.
Highest ratings that the network, that Netflix has ever seen, and some of the most incredible stories we've ever seen. Absolute 100% pure toxic male in it. And I think that she continues. I think her characters resonate. It's 20 years ago he played that role as McDreamy, but we still remember it. I can't forget it. I think it was the best thing ever. You go to work and here's this hot guy you got to work with. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly what I'm dreaming about. Thank you so much, Chandra.
Absolutely. I tell you. Well, let's listen to this clip from Jimmy Kimmel here.
At 4:23 a.m., an unidentified man broke into the lake house where twins Avery and Zoe Gardner were sleeping.
Our first guest tonight is one of the founding members of the Handsome Men's Club.
Oh, wait, it's like 9 minutes.
Okay, it's okay.
It's like 9 minutes long, so we won't go through it. I thought it was like going to be just
No, it's okay.
Really fast clip, but it says the news was revealed Tuesday night on Jimmy Kimmel Live. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a huge fan of sexy men who are alive, the host quipped during his opening monologue. And with help of cutting edge hologram technology, which changed Dempsey's voice and replaced his face with a lizard's head. Jimmy Kimmel then interviewed people's sexiest man alive without revealing his identity. And this is where people were guessing. They thought it might be Timothy Chalamet, Harry Styles, or Travis Kelce. But before they began to hone in on Dempsey's identity due to his age, ultimately it was an audience member named Keith who correctly figured out that the lizard man was, in fact, Mick Dreamy from Grey's Anatomy. After the big reveal, Dempsey joined Kimmel for an interview where he revealed that he was never expecting to be named Sexiest Man Alive. I was completely shocked. And then I started laughing like, this is a joke, right? I've always been a bridesmaid. Oh man, it's just is so wonderful that
Well,
that he's
I
finally
think
gotten us.
I think something else that spurred it, Lorena, is this show called The Golden Bachelor, which has also been one of the top shows on television. And it's essentially
Mhm.
this very attractive man. He's, of course, older than Patrick Dempsey, but there is this interest in mature love that people want to see older people still having that romance and that connection. And it's there. And a lot of it has to do with these characters. You need the right person. The Golden Bachelor, I don't know the gentleman's name, but they picked the right person. He's completely appropriate, very similar to Patrick
Mhm.
Dempsey in personality, that we've seen in a lot of the characters that he plays. And women will flock to this. We're going to look at this. We're watching this. We do appreciate mature men who have that experience, Lorena. They have that experience. They know exactly what to do.
Exactly. Exactly. So folks, we're gonna go on over here before my imagination goes too far away from me. Here we have Patrick Dempsey, and let's see. He's going to be the movie Thanksgiving?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes. It opens tomorrow, and it's a horror film. And I was like, it opens tomorrow. I would have watched it or told you about to watch it, but it comes out tomorrow as the opening day. It's new.
Oh my
It
gosh.
is a horror film about Thanksgiving, and he is starring in the film.
I saw the trailer to this in the theater, and I didn't know what to think. I'm like, what this, what is this? What is this? We have going on. But I'm like, wow.
Look at
A slasher film for Thanksgiving. I mean, Christmas, we've got them, but Thanksgiving?
Lorena, look at this. They said there's, we've seen these things on TV, these Black Friday riots where people run in, some poor person, and I feel terrible for their family, gets killed. This is true. It actually does happen, but this goes a little further. Apparently, a killer starts to terrorize Plymouth. And I don't know who this killer is, but it's fascinating. Not at all what I would expect after this riot that happens, because we see this on the news all the time. Obviously, whoever made this film, may have looked at that and thought, gee, I wonder, what's my response artistically to people going in on Black Friday and doing all sorts of, terrible things, not having respect for one another, trampling another person. I think it's a very
Mhm.
interesting way to start this particular movie, because this is supposed to be a time when you're thankful. You don't necessarily want to run over your fellow man, but I think that this is very interesting. It's almost as if at a time when you're supposed to be thankful and people are disrespectful. What happens as a result of that? Are there any repercussions of that? Yes. Thanksgiving, the horror film.
This fascinates me so much. One, that it's shot in Plymouth, and two, as someone who's been to Plymouth several times, because I have Mayflower ancestors, this is really like when I saw it, I was like, huh, that's different. I may have to check that out. So yeah, he's in Thanksgiving, and I think he was. Let's see. He's the sheriff. Let's see that's the how many horror movies have we seen where it's the sheriff has like the largest, the biggest role. That's almost like a trope for a horror movie. Go get the sheriff. The sheriff shows up.
He's like, now come on, everybody, just calm down.
Yeah.
Now we all
Nothing to see
want to
here.
have a good holiday here, and I come
Mhm.
on, Bob, I know you don't hate him. Come on now.
We went to high school together. How are you going to start this crap like this? I'm sorry, my sister turned out to be your ex-wife, but it's for something. There's something about that sheriff trope in a horror movie. So this is great. This is great.
It's fantastic. And I think it's also kind of a little bit of a release, kind of similar to what I thought Violent Night was like last year for Christmas. I feel like Thanksgiving might be this year for Thanksgiving. You know, I think it's interesting to look at films like this that just have that anxiety, and we don't really know. I don't really know what's going on with we know, we had a little kind of tagline about what it's about, but I have no idea what the story really entails in a sense. And I'm really curious, Lorena, when you and I go see this film over the next few days, because it's not released yet, but we will,
Right.
Lorena and I are going to go see this film because I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I'm really fascinated, just like you, Lorena. You're right. This is absolutely fascinating.
It truly is. I mean, we've seen, like I said before, we've seen the Christmas slasher films, but a Thanksgiving slasher one?
And it's a win for Patrick Dempsey to be the star of the film.
Yeah.
The leading man here. We haven't necessarily had too many Thanksgiving films coming out that are like this. And as I said, Violent Night last year, I was flabbergasted by how cool that was. I feel like this is going to be the Thanksgiving version of Violent Night that came out in 2022. So this could potentially be very, important for Patrick Dempsey along with Rory. He's really just shining right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I am so looking forward to that. Let's see. So what else do we have here? I know he has been through a ton of stuff. So I'm actually going to look through here. Let's see. Let's go. Oh, all the way. He was in Scream 3, not for nothing, but I'm trying to remember what that one was about. I think that was about when I started to drop out of the Scream series for a little bit.
Well, I remember Patrick Dempsey being in a lot of these 80s films that came out, and they were essentially young adult films. He played this kid in high school who was pretty much a sweet guy who would mow lawns. And this girl, the most popular girl in school, there it is, Can't Buy Me Love.
I did see this movie. This is one of my favorite romantic 80s. Look how so popular it is. Years later, how popular this film is.
And he's, I love the high schools back then. Kids didn't necessarily dress up too fancy. It was jeans and t-shirts. And if you had money and you were popular and you dressed up, then you were like one of the most popular people in school. So, kids were kind of dressed down a little bit, and he saved every penny. Like, he was this sweet kid, and she needed him because her boyfriend, I think, dumped her, right, Lorena, in senior year. And she's like, I can make any guy who is nerdy into a hot guy. And of course, it's Patrick Dempsey, who's cute. Oh my God. Teenage 20-year-old Patrick Dempsey. Oh my God. I can't. She's just like, he's like, she's walking. It's almost like she's walking down the runway, down the hallway of the high school with Patrick Dempsey on the side. And it's like, move out of my way. It was so much fun in the 80s with these romance movies. And Patrick Dempsey, he really shines in this. And he has great chemistry with this young actress whose name I can't remember, but boy, I love these films that they made. These were just so much fun to watch, Lorena. What fun. Amanda Peterson, I guess.
Amanda Peterson. Yes, this was so much fun. I remember riding on the lawnmower and him coming over to her and basically saying, well, that was different. Basically saying, I want to rent you. I'm like, what? Yeah, I just want to rent you, and how it's like this business transaction, and she agrees to it, and it's just like, yay, I'm the girlfriend of the most popular, the boyfriend of the most popular girl in school. And very interesting how that turns out. It was such a fun 80s style romantic comedy. I would say basically the lesson is timeless in that film. So yeah, funny how we were both thinking of that thinking of that particular movie.
Fell in love with him in this film, and he never, like, it's true, like, he even made mistakes in the film. I think that was so important for him not to be an infallible character. He was just like the rest of us, doing things, messing up, but that nobody's perfect, and you forgive the people that you love. So I think that it certainly was very interesting, and the Can't Buy Me Love is such a catchy title for a film.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially with the Beatles song. But I did not know that he was in the TV show Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And I don't know if I watched that, but I didn't know. I don't know how many credits he has on his thing. It must be over 100, right, Lorena?
It is. Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many in here. Let's see. There is, I'm trying to think of With Honors. Why do I remember that movie?
That's the film I was telling you that had Brendan Fraser. It's one of my favorite Brendan Fraser films. And Brendan Fraser plays a guy who is in college, and he's a man who is down on his luck, and he has to decide how that's going to affect him. It's almost unsaid, but the professors don't necessarily want him associating with people outside of the realm, outside of academia. The notion of maybe he doesn't come from this particular group, and now by going to school and doing well, he's separated himself, like he's sort of like an elitism style situation. But he meets this man, and the man has a copy of his work, and he's forced to talk to Joe Pesci, and gets to know him and finds a true friend in him. And it's really a fantastic film. I think it was one of Brendan Fraser's great early films. And Patrick Dempsey is another character. And it's a great film overall. Wonderful, wonderful ensemble. Moira Kelly is great in this. I really enjoyed this. I would recommend, this is a family film, I would say. I don't remember the rating, but I would say it is a family film. Let's say 13 and over.
It's PG-13, yeah.
Yeah. You would like it. If you've never seen it, I really enjoyed this film. And I think that we had films like this all the time, these feel-good films. It was just amazing, the performances in this. You can see they're at Harvard. So, of course,
yes,
I'm not going to say the fantasy, but for some people, the ambition is that they're going to not be associated with some people. And for him to be associated with a vagrant, so to speak, not everybody approves of that. And I think it is very interesting, the situations, the social situations that occur. It's a winner. It's a great film. I think wonderful performance. And of course, Patrick Dempsey is a co-star in the film.
Absolutely. I'm trying to pull up a closer picture of him. See, there he is with the hair. Yeah, that's the 80s hair, folks.
Yeah. That is definitely 80s hair. It had, the bigger the better, yes, it was the look. And you can see where Brendan Fraser's character is not doing that. He's going more conservative with his look. So, there's something, I think it does say a lot. There were a lot of boys who didn't necessarily wear their hair like Patrick Dempsey, but Patrick Dempsey has his hair out and kind of fun and carefree. But Brendan Fraser's hair might be representative of him trying to conform and become more conservative and go into that lifestyle and what's expected in that conservative lifestyle. So it was a very interesting, study in relationships among social classes as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many other things that he's been in, like he's constantly been in.
The one Loverboy. Have you seen that? Have you seen that one? It's lower down, I think.
I have.
Be wrong. It may not be lower down. There's so many, Lorena. There we go.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Yes. And that was in 1989.
Oh man! I'm not fucking real. I wasn't sharing.
Remember this, right? Papa Leone's Pizza. It was actually more than just pizza, if you know what I mean.
Definitely, and this is more than just pizza.
Maybe not California, but let's just say a warmer state. It was not New York. This was maybe West Coast, or maybe even in the South somewhere, because the weather was very warm, and you could see by the style of the houses and everything. And he takes this job. Maybe it's a little bit of The Graduate, even, although he's maybe a little Graduate.
Yeah.
he gets this job that makes him do more than just deliver pizza. A lot of pepperoni and sausage is involved in this job.
Man, the stuff you gotta do to get through school.
$200 for services rendered. It's amazing, and I think this would be hard to be made now. That could be difficult to pull this off, but we know this is happening. Maybe not through pizza affiliation, but we know this type of stuff has happened. I love it. I think it was fun. He's an adult. You know, these ladies are very well off, and they are expecting him to make the delivery, and he does.
Yes.
It's I really do like the implication. He's an adult. These are consenting adults, so there's nothing weird about it.
Yes.
It's still a lot of fun. You know, like, oh, well, let me call that number.
Like, where is that?
Let me call that number now. Look at
I need to. It's so awkward. Oh my gosh.
But he's a sweet kid, and a lot of women like that. Yeah, we do like guys who are sweet like this. And look at him, still very young man, 1989. This role of being literally a lover boy. So, yeah, another great fun film. Lorraine, what did you think the first time you realized what was going on? His friend who's like, "Oh, you have to go to I don't know." I'm trying to think of you got to call. It's in the hills. Yeah, pepperoni pizza, dude. Pepperoni pizza, dude. You know what I mean? Like, extra pepperoni, extra anchovies. It was extra anchovies. What was remember there was anytime.
There was some kind of code. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen this film, but yeah, it was like some kind of, you know, because they couldn't blatantly say what it was. So it's almost like, I'm not saying how I know, but I've heard like how some high class escorts categorize, you know, their clients because their time is at a premium. It's like, doing this one, this one, this one. Yeah. So it was kind of funny hearing it, except it was for a guy and he's running it, you know.
And he was young and full of you know what. So he was ready to go at a moment's notice. This is very, very tongue-in-cheek kind of film. And I honestly think it was made for the ladies. But I think a lot of people went to go see this film and had a lot of fun. It was a lot of laughs in this.
A ton of laughs. This one, I saw a couple episodes of. I didn't really get deep into it, but it was a David E. Kelly series, and dude was putting out series, and they were just like golden. So I didn't get to watch a lot of episodes, but I did know that he was in Private Practice. So it looks like he was in a couple of episodes. Of this particular show, which I love shows like this. So IMDb led me here, folks.
In the 90s, and for those of us who were, let's say, in the workforce in the 90s, who were watching this, you remember you went to the office every day and you had to dress conservatively. So, you know, those are the two things that you had to do. There was there was remote work. Your remote work was you going home, eating your meal while you were working off of your computer because the day was not done. That was your remote work.
Exactly.
So for those people who couldn't stay at the office till 8, for the rest of us who had to get home, you know, maybe make dinner and then go back to work afterwards, that's what the rest of us did. And some of us still do that. But the point is that it was very office orientated, and shows like The Practice and Ally McBeal, there was this working professional. They were focusing on a lot of female working professionals, especially, but the working professional genre was huge. I know around the same time or prior to that, LA Law was the one I associate with this era of.
Yes, I watched a lot of LA Law. Woo!
Yeah. And Susan Day was in that, and we just had, you know, this desire to show the workforce, and that was us. That was us. How things have changed. It's a little different now, but
so yeah, much different now than it was back then. But thankfully, we have these shows that can kind of go back and remind us, you know, how things used to be like. Oh, now people don't usually dress like that, except if they are going to court, you know.
Right. If they're going to court, or they do, let's say you are working in an office and you have to greet clients a lot, then they're expecting you to have that, as I say, uniform. your uniform,
Right.
which suit am I wearing today?
Well, we're going to move over to one of my favorite movies with Patrick Dempsey in it. And it just so happens to bring Patrick Dempsey and Disney together, and that is Enchanted. Oh my gosh. I did not know what
Of all the
to do,
classic
but
Disney
I started watching
stories,
it. I just laughed, and it just felt good to watch and sing and see,
all the
the love
magical
story
things,
that instead of, like a prince, instead rescuing a quote
there has
unquote
never been
princess, you
anything
got a
like
princess
Enchanted.
who gets put into the real world from animation and meets
Because
this
no other
single
story has ever
father
taken
with his
you.
teenage daughter.
It's a wonderful film, Lorena. This is the type of how should I say? This is the type of improvisation that we expect from them, and that they used to produce. It seems like all the time, like they were just incredibly talented to do stuff like this, and it was amazing. I think that the fantasy and the fun of all of this, and of course the singing, Lorena, a lot of singing, really
Yes.
was reflected so well in this series. And it's just lovely. It's still after, wow, 2007, after almost 20 years,
2007.
it's stunning. This is a fantastic film. Patrick Dempsey's great in this. And I just think it's
Sorry, if you haven't listened to the Happy Working song, okay, you have to see that. It, who would think, you think with Snow White, she's got all the lovely animals around him. No, she's got rats, mice, rats, and roaches, and
she
squirrels and pigeons.
and she's very much like many of the cast members you would meet at the park. Like this, she looks so much like those performers who, we always see all the time we go, and really just perform like crazy these roles over and over again. We take for granted that they're doing this stuff, but was indicative of that work ethic, let's say, of these cast members that were incredible and still are. But of that time period, I remember going to the park around this time period and seeing. It was a remarkable film. I just think it's just sets itself apart from so much of what we'd seen before.
I agree. I agree. And I'm starting to like build up my Blu-ray, my 4K Blu-ray collection. And I was looking through some of my Blu-rays over the summer. This is one of them that I had that when the movie was just so wonderful, you couldn't wait until it was released on physical media. And you're like, run to the store so you can get your copy. Um, but yeah, this was back when Disney was making these films that were just so different and so innovative and so much fun to watch. And Patrick Dempsey looked absolutely amazing in it. And of course, this was during his stint on Grey's Anatomy. So I didn't really watch Grey's Anatomy, but that like leading man persona in that film, how much he's portrayed as like a loving father, even though doesn't quite get everything right, but who does, but allowed to be that way, and for someone to take like a second chance on on finding love again. So
Yeah, and Grey's Anatomy, I think, certainly has been on the air. It's got to be over 20 years now, close to
yes.
20 years. And my mother has watched practically every episode. I think a few years ago she was like, "I'm not going to watch it," and then she goes, "All right, I'm going to watch it again." So like every Wednesday, I can't remember which days it came up. But you know how when you're watching network TV, if it's that day that your show comes on, that's the day you're at the screen watching it. And
Right.
this is before you could get all the stuff on demand too, even like say in '07, sometimes you could get stuff on demand, but if you couldn't, it's okay. Like, I think it's very interesting that, and of course, oh, Jesse Williams is in the show too, as well. And Kevin
Oh,
McKidd,
I freaking loved him. Dang, got it.
so freaking hot. But yeah, I think, Patrick Dempsey really embodied a lot of the fantasy of Pompeo's character, because she really did look to him. And I think sometimes it's very interesting that people are going to have these relationships at work. And it was just beautifully done. Wonderful cast, wonderful writing. It was just wonderful to watch those years. And I kind of hope that we'll get another show that has that kind of fantasy again. Maybe not, but it was wonderful when you could see network TV shine, and she made network TV shine with the series and is continuing to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is one of those where I wouldn't mind going back to watch again. Like for me, my go-to serial was like LA Law. And I think at this time I was like deep into CSI, but you couldn't help but hear people were just like, I watched Grey's Anatomy last night. It was like I want to say like instead of soap operas during the day, because there was this shift, because we talk about women in the workforce. With soap operas, it was traditionally women were at home, like my grandmother, they doing the laundry and watching the soap operas. But then when women started going to the workplace, it's like we don't have time to watch, soap operas during the day. I know I didn't after college, because in college we would like all crowd around the TV to like watch the soap operas. But then it was just like, I don't have time. I'm working. I don't get to do that. But then they started doing these at night. And
Prime.
there's this audience would go to them at night. So
Tonight on Grey's Anatomy.
yeah, I was like, did you see Grey's Anatomy last night? Oh my gosh. And how many I forget how many skits or whatever that they would do on late night television about Grey's Anatomy. Even if you didn't watch it, you were aware of Grey's Anatomy. That's just how big of a show it is, and how fortunate and a blessing for Patrick Dempsey to grab a role like this and to be on that show for just so darn long.
For over a decade, is certainly an accomplishment. And I think Chandra probably has written so many episodes that this could go on for 50 years. I think it could be one of the longest running primetime shows of all time. If she continues on with it, I think it could be. She could just keep going with it. It's remarkable, but you need those actors to pull it through. And Patrick Dempsey certainly has carried a lot of the show along with Pompeo. It's been such a fun and wonderful experience seeing him on the show.
Absolutely. Well, to bring it back to yet even more toxic masculinity, let's talk about the movie Ferrari. Now, who doesn't love hot cars? And the name Ferrari is synonymous with hot cars.
Absolutely. And this was a real person. So this was, he had a dream of competing and having high performance vehicles, which they are. And it's amazing, the notion of getting into these vehicles that you've built and you're like, I can go faster than everyone else. And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, these professions. But, the desire to do this in the 1950s, where it felt, there was all this optimism as if anything was possible, racing this very dangerous race. I think it's amazing, Lorena, that they decide to make movies like this. And absolutely, it's oh, look at this. Look at this. It's certainly one of those films where you want to feel this intensity that you would feel, as you were saying, on Miami Vice, these intense situations. There's a lot of intensity in this. They were like superstars in the 50s. So these guys were famous. Their pictures were all over the newspapers and magazines and in the news. Everybody knew who he was. And certainly that type of interest, but also pressure, must have taken its toll. Look at him. He's like, he doesn't want her to cover up the emblem.
Yeah, don't cover up the logo, honey.
I love you, but I'm pulling you closer because it's love. It is very funny to see these things and the pressure that a person, puts on themselves, of course, in order to get to the point where they are the top performer. It does take a toll on you. And who doesn't want to have a beautiful race across Italy, this beautiful country? So romantic. Who wouldn't love this? Everybody was watching this, and you could just imagine the excitement here. And it is wonderful to see Patrick Dempsey performing in this. I can't wait to see how he, does this role, Lorena. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is one of the films that I'm looking most forward to at the end of this year.
Absolutely. Excuse me. When I first heard about it, I'm like, Ferrari, you mean like we already saw it Ford, Ford versus Ferrari? They're like, no, there's like a movie about, the founder of the Ferrari Motor Company. I'm like, okay, I got to see that. All I'm thinking of is the gorgeous, Italian location shots. Ferrari is a legend, in racing. And even if you don't watch racing, the name, Ferrari. You've seen Ferrari cars. I'm pretty sure since where you live, and again, where I lived in Philadelphia, it's like it was like something else when you saw like a Ferrari car dealership. It's just like, oh man, I have to go and check it out. Beautiful, beautiful vehicles.
Chances are it's not automatic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So it would mean I couldn't drive the thing, but you could go and look at it and certainly admire, the beauty of the car and the engineering behind it. And it was a marvel. And that excitement, I'm so glad they're capturing a lot of the passion behind these inventors, behind these creators.
Yes.
This is their life, and it's so important to them to be able to fulfill their dreams. And it's hard. Like, I think that a lot of this needs to be said. We've been seeing a few biopics, sort of Italian focused biopics. I think we saw one the other day. I can't remember what it was called. From Italian designers and people from Italy, but this one really, I think, is just so mesmerizing, and I can't wait to see it, Lorena. I can't wait to see, what happens in this film.
This reminds me, I need to finish watching House of Gucci.
Yeah, House of Gucci was another one, and I thought that was excellent as well. That was great. It was terrifying, great.
Yeah. They did one about Versace.
Yes.
They did, they did that one, and just something about them. Look at just it's the tailoring, all that. It's like they just jumped right out of, like the slick fashion magazines that you would see, even though they were fashions in the shoots, the location shoots. You see hot cars. Like,
I mean, all of these details that you're talking about, Lorena, make such a big difference, especially when it comes to entertainment. And even these shots where they're, choosing shots to put on IMDb or looking at very specific things. And there's a lot that that these directors have in their mind as to what they think should be shown, and the image and the impressions that were made when these films and remembering 1957. Honestly, a lot of people who may go to see this film probably don't know very much about what was going on at that era. And so these films are so important historically to have characters like this come to life on the screen. And something like this, where the image says so much as you're looking at it. It really is such a different time. I love the era where men used to wear suits and things like this.
It was like it was always, suits. If you're going out as your best, you're going out as your best self. And especially when it comes to Italian fashion. I prefer this is probably blasphemy, but I will say it. I prefer Italian fashion over French fashion. So that is just kind of like my thing. There was just something about it, some edge to it, where even when I would watch like the the red carpet designs and everything, every single one that I would like gravitate to was more than likely an Italian designer. But I totally agree with you. These details are what makes cinema so amazing in the right hands. And especially going back to an era like this, which is most likely why movies like this are so popular, when it wasn't an embarrassment to be a man, to have traditional masculine values. what can be more masculine than race car driving? And it wasn't just about driving, it's about being the best. And I don't know the complete and total story about the Ferraris, but I assume that they basically built that company from the ground up. So having a legacy to pass on to your family, to be able to provide for your family, and those frustrations when you're trying to provide for your family and it's causing all kinds of issues. Because I do believe, yeah, set in summer of 1957, Enzo Ferrari's auto empire in crisis. What an interesting time to pick. The ex-racer turned entrepreneur pushes himself and his drivers to the edge as they launch into the Mille Miglia, treacherous 1,000-mile race across Italy. Dang.
Wow. I mean, those are things that we do nowadays, but at that time, I think that was very unheard of. You know, it's not like today where we have all these Formula One races all the time.
Yeah.
And we have NASCAR. That didn't, I don't
Mm.
think that existed in 1950. So I don't know all the details. So
It did not.
yeah, and they're these races is very, very dangerous. There a lot of them is a lot of it's on local roads. There's, you know, Italy is not a completely flat country, so they
No.
do have mountainous regions. They have all different types of obstacles in the way. Some of the roads are very narrow. Some of them may not even be could be off road. It could be off road sections that they have to race on. So it's absolutely fascinating. Oh my goodness! And you can see in the picture one guy's wearing a neck brace. So
Yeah.
certainly the pressure. I would say he pushes himself and his drivers. The pressure to perform, the pressure to have and strive for that excellence is so important for him. And I can understand why. You know, it also, you know, I guess in the sense, if money is an issue or if there's, you know, could be a hostile takeover or whatever it is, it's like, screw that. I'm not
Mhm.
going to let that happen. We're going to win the race, and then they're going to be, you know, not be able to touch us. I think, you know, that is a very interesting thing. But I think
Mhm.
that poster where he's, you know, you and I were looking at the poster, and you can see the car behind him. Almost looks like, you know what I almost want to think, you know, Lorena, of course, is the classic thing. You know, you could see another car next to him, and somebody with like a handkerchief, and you know, and he's out there racing, and then and they go go, you know, like that's what that looks like. He's stepping out. He wants to see who the competition is, and I'll race you. I'll race you. You know, like he's in the parking lot, or well, let's say in my neighborhood, he's in the parking lot. And everybody's doing, you know, those turns, you know, where the wheels are
Mhm.
all like, I don't even know what it's called. There's donut, maybe it's a donut. They're doing those turns, and he's like, oh, you want to race? Let's go. Let's go. That's what this but with style.
Yes, with absolute style. And something else that I was thinking of. So 1957, that's about like maybe 11 years after World War II ended. And Italy, of course, was under I'm forgetting who the dictator was. I'm totally Mussolini. Don't I funny story how I remember that, but I'll get into another time. But yeah, it was under Mussolini, and then the Americans and the Europeans. I say Americans because I have some uncles who helped liberate Italy during that time. Well, great uncles anyway. And this sense of building things up when the country had basically been at war and had been oppressed, and now you have all of this happening. So I'm wondering, that's probably another backstory that they'll probably talk about as well, which is so fascinating, so absolutely fascinating. And of course, we got to see the pictures. So this, believe it or not, is Patrick Dempsey. And he is Piero Taruffi, who is also a race car driver as well.
Yeah, and you know, I think it is really interesting when you think about it. The two, I guess the film co-stars Adam Driver and Patrick Dempsey. And Adam Driver was also in the Gucci film. He played Gucci in that.
Yes,
So it's good to
it's
see
so
him
good.
back in the movie playing. I think he plays. I can't remember what role he plays, but he does have a certain panache for playing these roles. Like he seems to fit in well. So the chemistry between the two of them I don't remember the last film that I saw with them both in it, so maybe this is their first pairing, but I think it is very interesting. Thinking about the two of them playing together, as I'm assuming they're playing together as rivals. I'm not sure, but because I don't know the full story. I don't know the full story in the story, but yeah, it's Lorena. This is going to be one of the most incredible. I guess it's like a biopic.
It is. It's like a biopic, and as we said earlier, Michael Mann is famous for the Miami Vice series, and that is such great cinematography. And I did not know that he directed The Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah,
that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and I'm just glad that Michael Mann is still creating.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we want him to make about 1,001 more Miami Vice episodes. However, that's okay. It's okay. But we still want it. The fact that we still desire him doing that. You can go on YouTube, which is what we're on. Well, Twitch is what we're on now, but we'll be on the replay on YouTube. You can go on and listen to 101 variations of Miami Vice, and even these different versions of Miami Vice.
Yes.
So the fantasy still lives on. But Lorena, it's Patrick Dempsey. I think this is his stellar year, and I think it's just going to get better for him in 2024.
I agree. I so much agree. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us for the Toxic Male Appreciation Show. Let us know in the comments, what do you think, one, about this honor that Patrick Dempsey has been bestowed with by the readers of People magazine? But most importantly, are you looking forward to the film Ferrari? We would love to hear from you. So be sure you subscribe to Her of Positive Fandom. Be sure that you subscribe to me as well. And take care, and we will see you next time. Bye.